In the middle of the night, I hear this door, and I walk by it, like right when I walk back, it like goes like that.
Yes, I believe in ghosts.
Today we will be uncovering the secrets of East Hall and the abandoned hospital in Banner Elk.
There have been a multitude of ghost sightings in East Hall since the reported suicide of Dean Thomas and 2 other suicides there. Dean Thomas committed suicide during the 70s here at App State in room 125 at East Hall.
Following this, there have been other suicides, 2 suicides of young teenage girls, one of which happened on the 3rd floor bathroom and one in the basement. One of the suicides was a woman who drowned herself in a bathtub in the basement, and the other was a woman who stabbed herself multiple times.
Is this true? Is this false? We set out to find out.
79. His name was Dean. He was 17. He was his first year here, and he committed suicide in this building. Well, this ghost came in through the chain lock door over in this corner, down on this floor, down in the corner. And he was a night guard, and he was with someone else, and they were working in this back room. They both saw what they thought was a human. They had no idea it was a ghost at the time. And his coworker yelled, "Hey, you can't do that." And he chased him up the steps. Well, he went up about 2 flights, saw him head out into the hallway. There were 10 guys standing there. And he said, "Where did that guy go?" And nobody saw anything. Someone on that floor later saw who they thought was a person go into a room, and they all followed him in to say, "Hey, that's not your room. What are you doing there?" And there was no one in the room. So he's had multiple sightings, this gentleman Dean, and they say, I don't know, I've never seen Dean, but they say he comes out around the time of his death, which was in September.
And just sensing that he was there with me. I put my book bag in my back seat, and as I turned, I kind of saw him, I saw his body, and he was wearing a white button down and white pants, and it was his body type and everything, and I got really scared. And then about a month ago, I was trying to go to sleep. It was 2:30 in the morning, and I heard footsteps go from our door to my roommate's bed, and they were really heavy footsteps. And then I heard my roommate roll over in bed, so I was just oh, whatever, it's just my roommate. But then I was thinking about it, I was I didn't hear the door open. I didn't see the light come in when the door opened. I also didn't hear her get into bed. I just heard her roll over in bed.
I believe in instances of paranormal activity. I would not say that's the exact same thing as believing in ghosts, but I do believe in activity that's beyond the normal. I think, yes. However, if there's one town that's haunted in these mountains, it's got to be Banner Elk. I think it would be Banner Elk. It's just this little rural community, one stoplight, and then Lees McRae College, which is a gorgeous little Hogwarts campus, just here. In Banner Elk, North Carolina, there is what is known as the Old Cannon Memorial Hospital. It has been abandoned as long as I can remember. But if you go, and I suggest that you just, even in daylight, just to drive by, it's on the right once you pull into Banner Elk, and it looks like an early 60s structure of concrete. Deserted, weeds are growing up, and even by daylight, it's pretty haunted looking. This woman and her husband come. I would say she was about 28 to 32, something like that. And her husband were there. She comes to my office and she goes, "I heard you're spending the night at Cannon Memorial." I was like, "Well, yeah, I guess that's the plan." And she says, "You gotta let me come too." My husband is a police officer in Banner Elk, and he and his partner, periodically, they have to do their rounds and they have to check. They have to go through all 4 levels of Cannon Memorial to make sure there aren't any squatters there, people that aren't stealing things, because there are valuable things. There's copper wiring, things like that people have tried to steal. So they go, and I like to go on the rounds with them, and I do EVP. So I'd like to play some of them for you. And I said, "Okay, all right." So we're sitting, sun is setting. It's getting dark outside. And the husband he kind of goes to the corner. He just sits there. He's just kind of standing there. He never says a word. But she goes, "Well, let me play something for you." So she's playing something. And then she says, "Did you hear that?" And I said, "Hear what?" And she said, "The child." And I said, What, you didn't have a kid with you? Here's what I heard. I was going up third floor. I was on the third floor, and there was a la 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 la, like a child singing, na na, loud, na la la na 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 na, and you could hear the voice turning the corners, so it says with the people. And she said, "Where's the bathroom?" I said, "Okay, go turn to the right." So I'm alone with her husband. He comes out of the corner, and he looks shocked. I mean, he's like he looks kind of depleted at this point. So I was like, "That's pretty interesting." And he said, "This goes against everything I've ever thought." He goes, "I don't know what to make of this, but this is what really happened. We were all alone. We come back and there's this voice." This is a guy that's paid to carry a gun for a living, okay? And he comes forth and he's shaken. He's really shaken. He goes, I don't even know what to do. I said, "So this is really," he goes, "There was nobody there. There's nobody in the entire building. And yet here's this child's voice." He goes, "This really is crazy for me." And I have thought about this, like something following me back home.
Initially, when we chose this project, I was like more of a skeptic. I didn't really believe in ghosts. I really still don't believe in ghosts to an extent. I've definitely had my worldview a little bit shaken up. As somebody who is, I would identify as a Satanist, I don't believe in any form of like spirits or anything. But when we went to the hospital, things kind of changed a little bit. We went in on a Saturday night, and right off the bat, it was pretty creepy to begin with, just because there was a lot of just weird vibes in the air anyway. And I went in anyway with a couple people. Everybody else kind of stayed outside. They got too freaked out. Nothing really out of the ordinary happened in the hospital except for when we were in a neonatal care ward, which is where they keep kids who were like in, I guess, a medical state where they need some attention after they're born. And what was weird about it is I was filming and the camera just shut off. It wouldn't work. We had plenty of battery, plenty of stuff, but it wasn't working. I blew it off as, okay, well, this camera is obviously just, not want to work right now. We finished filming at the hospital, and obviously there were some creepy vibes, but that comes with just going to a creepy place. And got into the car, and we're driving back to Boone, and we start uploading the footage that I had taken. And that's when it got weird, is because there were 4 videos I initially took, and 2 of them showed up. One of the first floor, which was, I guess, an entry ward, and maybe an emergency room ward, and then the surgery ward, which was 3rd floor. But on the children's ward, there was no footage whatsoever, even though I had recorded some. In place of those 2 clips that were of the neonatal care ward, I looked and there were 2 videos of about the same length of kids in a kindergarten weird vibe around me. I go to a bar every night and hang out with a lot of my friends. And the next day I went there, everybody was telling me that I had this weird energy around me. And it wasn't like they didn't want to be near me, but they just were weary of what was going on. And I'll admit I did feel a little bit weird. I couldn't focus. I couldn't sleep. I was waking up at 3 o'clock on the dot every night for about a week. And things were just getting weirder. I had scratches that were in the shape. They didn't look exactly like it, but they were in the shape of an upside down cross. And that freaked me out to begin with because I didn't know where this was coming from. So I started doing a lot of research. And pretty much I've concluded that I didn't come in contact with a ghost per se, but I did come in contact with maybe some energy or something.
A lot of people usually wonder why ghosts exist exactly, and there's a lot of different reasons why. Some people believe that ghosts exist because they're trapped energy from when they were living or the energy they had right before they died. Sometimes it's because people died in a very traumatic way, and sometimes it's because people just had an unfulfilled life, or there's something that they weren't able to complete exactly, like a task or just some kind of wish, and that's a lot of times why they're trapped. Other times it's just because they've tied themselves to something like an object or a person here, and they're not going to vanish until they're vanished, or they're tied to a location or a place. Most ghosts don't typically hurt anybody, but they do have the option to possess people, and they're not exactly all friendly spirits. Our group would like to conclude that we cannot confirm nor deny the existence of ghosts. However, we did find a lot of evidence to prove the existence. We had an experience with Brian where the clips seemed to just add up in a weird way that wasn't what we filmed at all. We've heard numerous stories about the hospital and what's happened in East Hall itself. We know a lot of people who've had experiences, and just, it seems to me like there's a little bit of ghost activity. However, I'm a strong believer not everyone is, and we cannot confirm nor deny this because who's to say what we really found out here? But we can say there's definitely some weird energy and some creepy things going on around App State.
So, like, did you hear about what happened to Jesse the other day? No. Did you hear that? No. Wait, did you hear that?
Shit! Oh my god! Oh god! Oh god! Oh my god!
Tell me when to go.
What was that?
I have no idea what the
fuck! We gotta get out of here.
We have to go, we have to go, we have to
What was that? I'm never coming back. We can't. What we saw was, I don't even understand what we saw. No. I can't believe we just saw
I'm so nervous, like I just don't understand what just happened.
I have no idea what we saw. Like, it literally trapped him on the floor.
Hello.
Big shout out to Cheryl. She's super cool.